Hey, we're back on Between the Lines on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're at Mules National Golf Club today. MulesNational.com online. If you'd like to play, it's $32 on the weekend. This is not much of a drive from Kansas City, and we've got a lot of listeners throughout the state of Missouri that don't live very far from Warrensburg. If you like to play a little golf, but you don't like to shell out a lot of dough and you are unaware, they have put $4 million into this facility, and it is remarkable. That's the only way to describe it at Mules National Golf Club. Brand new restaurant traditions here. We're sitting on the back patio, a beautiful spot for lunch or dinner or happy hour or whatever, or right after your round, watching people hit their shots onto the Island Green 18th coming in. Just a great setting here. It's Jack Harry's Hour on Between the Lines, and Jerry Hughes is the outstanding director of athletics at the University of Central Missouri. He's done everyone a favor this week because he's going to join us for a few minutes, which keeps me and Jack from getting into a fight at our customary time, because this is normally the second segment where we get into it over something. Welcome, Jerry. How are you, sir?
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for coming down today. We appreciate having you.
We just are thrilled to be here. How you guys have known each other forever. How did you first meet? What's the history here between the two of you?
Wait, by the way, why do I have my back to the audience?
That's the way it works, buddy. It's my show. That's how it works.
You didn't want an elbow there or anything?
It's pretty funny. Jerry had it all set up when we got here, and he's like, do you want us to move it or anything like that? And Drake looked at me, and I looked at him, and we're both like, no, that's perfect, because he knows that I like my back to the corner. And so he was like, no, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Perfect spot for you, Jack.
Yeah, right, it really is. But you know what, Kevin? I first met Jerry, and this goes back to 1984, and I'll never forget it. Because the Mules and the Jennies became the first team in history, NCAA Division II, to win national championships. And I never forget, I came down to this campus over at the Multipurpose Center, and the turnout, the kids, and what happened during that period was absolutely phenomenal. And you had been on the job 1 year. How much credit are you going to take for turning those programs around?
A lot. Well, actually, before that, I was on Lynn Nance's. I was on the basketball staff, and one of my recruits was Ron Nunley from Columbia, Missouri, who was the MVP of the tournament. So myself and Lynn Nance and Darrell Winston. Darrell played at K-State. Sure. We were the staff that recruited those kids in 1980-81 that won that national championship in '84. But you're right. I mean, the town went crazy. I mean, we had 8,000 people in the multi for that celebration, and first time it ever happened. 5 hours, we won 2 national championships. The men won first, live on ESPN, and then the women played after that. Played in Springfield.
Same day, same court.
Same day, same court.
Yeah.
Springfield, Massachusetts, the birthplace of basketball. Lee Williams was the executive director of the Basketball Hall of Fame at that time. He grabbed me. I was 33 years old as the athletic director. He said, in 5 hours, you just won 2 national championships. You'll never see that again. And we won't, because they split the tournaments. But same place, same court. So
yeah.
Jerry Hughes with us. He gave me a list here, Jack. See if you remember some of these names. These are Central Missouri coaches historically. Lynn Nance, you mentioned. Joe B. Hall. Kim Anderson, who's at Mizzou. Jim Woldridge was a K-State coach. Some guy named Fogg Allen was the head coach here. Tom Scott, Gene Bartow, Bob Sunvold, and how about this one? I wrote down interim coach Jerry Hughes.
That's right.
Interim.
15 and 13 in 1 year. You coached a year.
With Nance, right?
No, I went back in '91 when Woolridge left here in August and went to Sam Houston State. I was the president. Elliott. It was about this time of year, and I became the interim coach for 1 year. I hadn't recruited one of the guys. We had 10 junior college kids coming in that year, and we somehow limped along and had a winning record. But we had a lot of fun.
What was that like for you?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, I was a basketball coach before that, and then I brought Billy Key up. Billy Key'd been around a long time, president of ABC from University of Missouri-Rolla, and he helped me that year. And then I hired Bob Sunvold after that, and Bob came in here and did a great job.
He really did. We were talking, Kevin and I were talking a little earlier about, people, donations and that type of thing. And I wasn't even aware of it. When I thought the owner of the Houston Astros, I always thought of Drayton McLean, you know. But I didn't realize that Jim Crane, he's kind of behind the scenes type of guy, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't like the publicity and nothing, and got in there and went out and got himself he got the general manager from the Cardinals, right?
Right. And Jeff Ludow.
And what they've done, because they were losing 100 games there, weren't they?
Right. He cut the staff. The story is unbelievable, but he went in, he cut a bunch of payroll off the full-time staff. He cut a bunch of the players. I mean, their payroll that first couple of years when they were losing 100 games was about $20 million. And then he's built it back up gradually, and they're doing a great job. I mean, Jim's that played baseball here at Central Missouri. He still holds an NCAA record for strikeouts in an NCAA game, in a playoff game, regional game. He struck out 18 batters.
And he's helped you with your facilities here.
Yes, he's given us well over a couple of million, but he just gave us $1 million this fall for our new baseball facility, which is synthetic turf, AstroTurf.
That's fantastic. So you have Mrs. Walton put some money in here for the golf course.
Right.
You got Jim Crane helping the baseball program out. And share with our listeners how you're wearing all this Nike gear here at Central Missouri. That's a pretty good story.
Well, early on, I wanted to become a Nike school, and it's hard to break through that, And so Jim, at that point in time, his freight company was Eagle. He since sold that and started another one, but he was moving his company was moving all the Nike equipment in the world. And so I told Jim one time I was down there with him, I said, hey, I'd like to become a Nike school. I don't need a big pay. I just want to buy all my gear at cost, which we do, some less than cost. And so he got with Phil Knight and got us hooked up, and now we're a Nike school. We're one of 2 Division II schools in the country that
have a deal with Nike.
Have a deal with Nike.
That's a great thing for someone to do for you. If
the old adage, it's not who you know, or not what you know, but who you know.
Who you know, that's right. And you got to ask.
That's right. And you're not shy.
I'm not shy.
How did you raise this money, Jerry, for this golf course? This is unbelievable. And what was your vision for it? What did you do? Look around and say, this just is subpar for us? We need something better here? And then boom, this happens? I mean, how did you make something like this happen?
Well, I mean, between our foundation and the generosity of Mrs. Walton, we were able to put together a financial plan that we could make this happen. Our board of governors approved it. One of our board members had the vision for this 18th, and we made that happen. So, our greens were 40 years old, and they were just push-up greens that came from the sludge down the bottom of the lake down here at the bottom of the hill. So the the quality was not good. And then we went in and took just normal bluegrass fairways, which at this time of year would be burnt out by now.
Right.
And we put in zoysia. So we hired Tyrod Clark from CE Design out of Kansas City. He's done several courses in Kansas City. He was our architect. We hired Frontier Golf, who was our construction company. Through a bid process, they won the bid, and they are the convenience contract holder of the Pebble Beach Corporation. They do all the work in any of the courses in Pebble Beach. Now, Jim Crane happens to be a owner of Pebble Beach. Only 2%, but I tell Jim all the time, 2% is still $6 million. So anyway, he helped get them involved, and you all saw it. The workmanship is unbelievable. The things we wanted quality fairways, quality greens, and then in the middle of the course, we had cart paths crossing in front of tee boxes. Now all of them where they cross, they all cross behind. So we did that for a safety reason, and then we wanted to keep as much of the natural terrain as possible, which we did.
Yeah, you've done that. I think the most impressive thing that you said, and I consider myself a golfer, not a pro golfer, but I'm an avid golfer. I love to golf. When we were out touring, we got back there. I don't remember which hole it was, maybe 7 or something. You'd cleared some trees, beautiful par 3.
6 and 7.
6 and 7. You said there's this creek down here and there's rock. And you said, we're not done here. We're going to clear all this stuff. We're going to expose this rock, and that water's going to trickle over these rocks. It's going to be beautiful back here. So you did all this, and now you have what, to me, it's kind of an American spirit. You have this enormous pride for your facility. You said, we're not done. We got a crew here. We got a budget. We got something that's working. We're going to improve it as we go.
That's correct.
Most golf courses don't do that. They do something, well, they don't do it as nice as you did it, but if they do something like that, then they go, oh, that's it. Now we hope all the rounds come up, and that's that. You want to improve this as you go.
Well, we not only want to improve this, we want to improve the whole park facility. We're going to redo the roads. We're going to improve the lake down here back to the state it was back in the 20s and 30s, which it was a destination point for people from Kansas City to come down for recreation.
Wow. You got 4 tee boxes out there, right?
Right.
So from the back, from the blacks, what's it play? What
6,500.
6,500. That'd be just about right for you, Mr. Kietzman.
Would it?
About 6,500.
I think it'd be good for the UCM golf team.
Yeah. What about the forward tees?
I think they're around 52.
Well, that's a test.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good for me.
Jack's really interested in those forward tees. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So
yeah, beautiful facility.
Yeah, if you want to make a tee time, online at mulesnational.com. That's mulesnational.com. We are not far from Kansas City, and of course we've got a lot of listeners in these parts as well, and we're getting the word out that it's here. You've been open for several months. You were closed for almost a year, right?
Yeah, we closed down in January of 2015. We completed the construction in November. We opened up the first part of November of 2015.
You still have a celebration party for the World Series, right? Is
That's
that
right.
Really?
That's right. Yeah,
coincide with the
almost that time, exactly. That was
Yeah.
about the time we were doing it, because Crane was in here for the playoff games, and he came down here and looked at
To see it.
because he wanted to see it.
Nice.
So then cart pass only through the winter. In March or April, we opened it up where they could drive on the fairways. And now, Zoysia, we want you driving down the fairways. We don't want you in the rough. So
Right, absolutely. We're talking with Jerry Hughes, the athletic director at the University of Central Missouri. Coach Svoboda was here earlier. You got to be really excited about football season, man.
yeah, we have a chance to be really good. We've got a lot of kids back, and we've got a quality group of kids. A lot of them stayed around over the summer and took classes and worked in the community so they could work out in the evenings and get bigger and stronger and faster. And Jim's got a quality coaching staff. And you were talking, the game day atmosphere around Mules football is unbelievable. I mean, all the tailgating activities and the stadium, we'll put 10, 11,000 people in there. As Jim said, we were fourth in the nation last year in attendance. It's a great atmosphere. Jack's been down here a couple times.
I have.
But it wasn't like it is now.
No, it wasn't. This is a new deal. But you and I were talking, and I don't mean to change the subject,
do.
but I'd like to get
yourself
your
out.
in. We were talking about this Power 5 stuff and what an AD, athletic director, is faced with these days. I mean, with the partial scholarships and that type of thing. I thought it was very interesting. We forget about the old school stuff, how things were meant to be. But that's the day and age. That's what it's all about.
Right.
How do you adjust to that?
Well, I think what we do in Division II at Central Missouri is the way it was when you and I were in school in the 60s, Jack. I mean, it's the way college athletics was meant to be. I mean, the students were true student athletes. They got a part of their scholarship, and then they either had to pay for it or figure out some way to do the rest of it. But they weren't getting a full scholarship in all the sports, and they weren't getting stipends on top of that.
Right.
I mean, and I think like anything else, when you have to work to help pay for your education, there's some value in your education,
I agree with
rather
that.
than everybody giving it to you. And so now, there's still an arms race at Division II because the facilities in the MIAA, especially in football, are as good as most FCS schools. I mean, we could compete with a lot of FCS schools. We had officials in here Saturday for a scrimmage, and I won't name the school, but they had done another scrimmage in an area school that's an FCS school the day before, and they said, you're bigger than that school, our athletes.
Well, here's what's happening, and you won't have to deal with this. I played in a tournament a couple weeks ago out at Colbert Hills, and I got paired up with a kid that played on the K-State golf team. And I said, what kind of scholarship you got? He said, not much. It's a piece of one, because I think he said they had 5 for the whole golf team. And he said it's not much, but, man, I love it. I get free golf clubs and balls, and they give me all these cool clothes to play in and shoes. And I got a little bit of money toward my education, and I get to play golf and get my degree. And I thought, my God, here's a Power 5 school. Isn't that wonderful? And I said, what do you think about these football and basketball players, what they get, not just their full scholarships, and some of them who never really play, but now they're getting $20,000 plus cash on top of that over 4 years or 5 years to do that. And he just got red. I mean, he just got red. They're creating a class system among college athletes at big schools that is not healthy. And I can make an argument right now. I'll already predict it. We're taking young men and women in some of these Power 5 schools, and by paying them and allowing them to fly on charter jets to Maui and stay at the Ritz-Carlton and feed them steak and lobster and give them all these clothes and all this money and all this stuff and tell them, you never have to work. Just show up to practice. We got a tutor over here. I'll help you make grades. It's going to be all good. We're graduating them, sending them out into the world, and they'll never live as well in the real world as they did in college. There's something really, really wrong and backwards about that. You're supposed to be working your way up in college to go make it in the world, I've always thought. Do you think that's going to happen to some of these athletes in these Power 5 schools?
It's very possible, Kevin. Once again, I think the beauty of Division II where we are is our football our football player that you just defined is the same as our golfer.
Right.
Our golfers gain a partial scholarship.
Yes.
Our football players gain a partial scholarship. I do think there is the recipe out there that you can have some rebellion on some campuses because of that. I really think what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of the sports, other than football and basketball, regionalize their competition and change the way they compete because they can't afford to send their golf teams or soccer teams or whatever the sport be outside of football and basketball all across the country like they do today.
Well, isn't there potential for a Title IX lawsuit here? I mean, I sit here and look at this. They can't be paying the cash payments to the female athletes in the same numbers they are to the male.
Oh,
They can't.
Yeah, you're correct.
Where's the lawsuit? When it comes, what happens? What are they going to do? They're going to pay everybody then? Then you pay a golfer cash, but you don't pay his whole scholarship? What do you do with the baseball players? Because they're not getting full scholarships either.
No,
I don't even understand what they're embarking on in the Power Five. I'm so disgusted by it. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting off on a tangent here today. But I am so refreshed at what you're doing here. And, my roots in the MIAA. My first job out of college, I lived and worked in Pittsburgh and in Joplin around Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern. I know everybody here is Central fans, whatever. But it's just fantastic to see things that are done this way. And they're opening up a can of worms in the Power Five that they're never going to get the genie back in the bottle, man.
No, you are going to put it back.
No,
you are going to put it back. And it's who knows what the future holds. I mean, you saw some of the concussion lawsuits and some of the things out. I mean, it's just a matter of time that some of these other lawsuits will happen.
Right. All right, your thoughts on the opener, and were you involved in scheduling the first game at Pittsburgh State a week from tomorrow?
No, actually, the conference commissioner.
I thought so.
No, I mean, we in this league, we don't play non-conference games. We play all conference games. We play 11 conference games, and then we go into the playoffs. And whoever was drew the number out of the bottle that day, we got drawn Pittsburgh State. But you got to play them all anyway. I mean, and that's kind of Jim and my philosophy is, and sometimes people aren't quite as good that first game as they are the 11th game. So we just got to line up and play them as they come in front of us and let the chips fall. I mean, it's kind of like the number of strokes you're going to give Jack and I on the golf.
That's right.
Right.
I was going to bring that up. Let's negotiate that now for public records.
So whatever that is, I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, really.
We're used to winning these before we kick off. You got to win them on the first tee. Isn't that right, Jack?
Who's really happy that you don't have non-conference games is all the schools that aren't in the MIAA.
That's right.
They don't want to play any of you guys.
No, they don't want to play.
You'd have a hard time finding games anyway, wouldn't you?
Well, we did. And that's why we went to that, Kevin. That's exactly right. We couldn't find people to play us, or we were having to pay astronomical amounts of money for us to get somebody in here to play us.
Is it in any way problematic that too many good teams are in one league?
It is a problem because you leave out some good teams. I mean, last year, we had some injuries at the end of the year, but we were 8-3. I guarantee you, of the 24 teams that made the Division II playoffs, we were easily better than half of them.
Yeah.
But it's all done by regions across the country, and you can see the way Northwest Missouri blew through that championship game. And we played Northwest Missouri very close. We played them to a 5-point game last year.
Got them at Arrowhead this year.
Arrowhead this year. It'd be fun.
Yeah. What's that going to be like? Is your fan base excited for that?
Our fan base is really excited. I mean, obviously we haven't had that opportunity, and so when Mel Churchman approached me about moving the game from Maryville to Arrowhead, I said, hey, I'd rather drive to Arrowhead than drive to Maryville. I was just kidding him. But it's a great opportunity. We're excited to play them. They're a quality football program and a quality university, and we're really excited. Our fan base we've sold a lot of tickets already, and we're going to have our big tailgate up there and our band and the whole bunch, and it'll be a fun atmosphere on October 1st.
All right, what do you guys got? You guys go back how far? You got a story for me? What do you guys got?
Somebody
ever get in trouble? You both strike me as guys you strike me as you got him in trouble at some point, Jeff.
No, I don't think
you
so.
did.
No,
what did you do? How did you get him in trouble?
He runs in a different element than I.
Really?
He's with Norm and some of those guys.
I couldn't imagine you and he and Norm getting in any trouble.
You know what we did talk about though? I asked him. I said, in this day and age, with all this money, all these coaches making $4, $5, $6 million a year in basketball and this type of thing, I said, how in the world do you operate? You got Joe Cipriano. Remember him at Nebraska? Right. Then you had Johnny Orr. Then you had Norm. You had fun. These guys didn't care. They shot from the hip. These guys today, man, they don't want to say anything. They want to protect their salaries, right? So you don't get anything from. But you outlasted all of them.
I did.
Did you did I read this correctly? You have been involved in the last 40 years on this campus?
Yes.
Is that right?
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I got a good Norm story real quick. Or not Norm story,
like
a
it.
Jack story. Sorry.
I like that. I like that even better.
No, that isn't. You may not like it when I finish it, but it's a good Jack story. Jack was emceeing the MIAA Awards banquet about 2 weeks after I hired Kim Anderson. And Jack's emceeing, and he's talking to Bob Chipman at Washburn and Tommy Smith at Missouri Western. And he's up there, Jack, shooting from the hip. And he said, well, you guys better enjoy your awards this year because Central Missouri just hired Kim Anderson and it's over.
As the MC?
As the MC. And he was right. But he was right.
It was over, right? It was over. That's right. Oh, boy. We have fun, though. That's what it is, right?
Shoot from the hip, right?
Yeah, I miss guys like Jerry Hughes. I really do.
Oh, you guys are good friends, man. Jerry, thanks so much for having us down today. Congratulations on the great work you're doing here, and we love your golf course, Mules National.
Well, thanks. You guys need to come back and play,
100%.
and Jack and I will negotiate the strokes here yet.
100%. We'll get right on it. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Take care. There's Jerry Hughes, the Director of Athletics at the University of Central Missouri. Between the Lines continues from Warrensburg right after this.